overtime. Oh, gee, baby. Megyn Kelly has never actually seen me do that. I haven't. That's every day. Oh, it is. I like it. Without tussin.
And their gifts
I'm all doped up on the tussin. I put some tussin on it. I'm still coughing. Honestly, it was like the Thanksgiving Day massacre, what my husband Doug did in our house. Took us all down.
Triage.
We're fighting back.
Yeah, mass unit at your house.
Yeah.
That's what we call it.
And with 3 kids, by the time you get better, like it's going to get passed back around. Oh,
you guys are making me now want to have children.
At night on the Kelly File, I've been taking tussin with codeine. So I have been on narcotics.
But half a dose, probably, right?
I don't know. I do what they tell me, Harris. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly,
less sharp. I'm going to be the first to admit it.
I take that when I had the actual flu, the H1N1 flu, like 3 years ago, right? Remember when it was
the one that first got us all coughing like that?
Yes, bizarre, exactly. And they gave me that stuff, and I mean, my eyes were permanently crossed. I look like a cartoon.
Maybe I have some sort of
Did you
tolerance.
take a flu shot?
I didn't that year.
See, there you go.
I didn't either.
I didn't that year.
I take 2 every year.
I was told that, because this was before they had come up with the actual derivative for H1N1, it was just still A or B. Which is how they do it.
Flu?
No. It wasn't the bird flu.
I thought it was.
But I couldn't fly.
It is the same thing.
It is the derivative of that, I suppose.
It was a really bad one.
It was awful. I couldn't fly for weeks after.
Can I just interject really quick? Because I didn't want to say this on air because I didn't know if this
We're
is
still
a story you want
live.
to talk about. I know, but this is OT and it's a little, as you know,
doesn't count.
It's a little more crazy on OT. But I also think what's inspiring about your book is that you can have a bad first kiss with a man and marry him.
Whoa!
That was something.
Because that was my fault. The bad first kiss was my fault. If it was his fault, I don't know if we'd be together today.
That's an inspiring story, too.
I talk about how I was a second-year reporter here. I was very young, and I had a terrible stalker. And it was alarming because I was very young, and I hadn't taken any steps to protect my identity or my address or anything like that. So he found me. He had a lot of access. And long and the short of it was I was surrounded by first one armed guard around the clock and then 2 armed guards around the clock. And that's when I met Doug. So for our first kiss, we had these 2 armed guards standing there watching us. It was like having your parents watch you.
Oh, my God.
And I was nervous. I was like, I couldn't perform under pressure. and so it just wasn't one of my best. And he was so cute. And I wanted to do better. And the next day, the 2 guards took me to go pick up Doug at his hotel room. We were going to go out to lunch. And I said to them, you guys wait here. I'm going inside alone. And Doug opens the door and he's like, you ready to go? I'm like, hold on. Back inside.
You laid one on him.
Why? I'm like,
I have chills.
I can do better. He was like, right this way.
So
I love it.
You're inspired by all these other really amazing stories, but I was like, that's a story that women of America should take heed.
It was just a kiss, for the record. We left the hotel room immediately thereafter and went for a lovely walk with Viper and Cougar, the guards.
Viper and Cougar.
We nicknamed them. My friend came down and nicknamed them all. So it wasn't the same 2 guys every day. It was like Viper, Cougar, Outrigger, Pooh Bear, Cue Ball, Python. I mean, it was hilarious.
Very visual
images. Guarded by Pooh Bear.
He didn't like his.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm going to ask you a question because I know you just came off a book tour, which is always kind of an amazing experience. What was the most treasured memory that you had from meeting all those people that watch you on TV that you normally don't get to see, and this time you got to meet them? What was one of the things?
I have 2 that are tied. One was a woman who came to see me with her 11-year-old son. I met them down at the Villages, and she was in tears, and her son was in tears, and they said that I was there on the TV when he came out of a coma.
God.
Her 11-year-old who had respiratory issues. And they both remembered it, and the Kelly File so fondly, and he was a fan, the 11-year-old boy.
I think so.
All 3 of us were crying.
Yeah.
And then the other moment was this beautiful gentleman. I'll retweet it after this segment because I tweeted out a picture of him who came and saw me down in Fort Hood, Texas. He was an Army veteran. And as soon as he saw me, he started crying. And he shielded his eyes. You know, our guys in uniform, they have such lovely pride. Not the bad kind, the good kind. And he didn't want everyone there to see him crying. And then I was crying, and we were just holding each other for a long time. And I think he was getting something from me, but I was getting something from him. Honestly, Governor, it's been so uplifting you know, the internet is so dark, and you know, we try not to go there as on-air people and public people, but every once in a while you meander, and it just darkens your soul. And this was the total opposite of that, and just filled up my soul in such a lovely way. Those are the people I remember. Those are the people I know watch. You know, those are the people who make Fox as successful as it is. Like, those are our people.
And one person who made you is your Nana. And that was a major moment for you this year. You lost her.
I know, my Nan. I was very fortunate enough to have her until 101. She turned 101 on October 1st. There she is. That's my mom in the middle.
Love that.
That was Nana's 100th birthday. She's got her little sash on. And she was a huge part of my life. There she is with my pop-up years ago.
Beautiful.
Like, that was on their honeymoon. They were playing miniature golf. She was born in 1915, you know, so that would have been 1930-something. Thereabouts, doing the math. But she was a huge influence on me. Yeah. She was the person from whom I got my salty language. Right? She wasn't afraid to drop a swear. Governor, you're familiar with my penchant
not me.
for swearing.
I've never heard you say anything.
You know, remember what I infamously called Governor Huckabee on the Kelly File?
Forgot about
Oh, yes. It's a very YouTubeable moment.
Views on YouTube.
And she just was somebody who always brought humor into every situation, and showed me and my mom, too, that laughter can get you out of almost anything, you know, any sort of blues, any sort of malaise. And so I really thought as recently as April, she was doing great. And she lived on her own all the way up to the summer before she died. She never, I mean, honestly, we finally got her a nurse's aid. We had to lie to her and tell her that it was free, because she wouldn't accept it. And like, it's free. She's like, oh, it's wonderful. It's fantastic. And we were like,
I love that.
Anyway,
I could see doing that.
I have one question about your book from our live chat, which, by the way, is cooking along here. Fax says, is settle for more for men too?
Totally. And in fact, I've been tweeting out a lot of beautiful messages I've gotten from, like, one guy said, it even brought this old Marine to tears and taught him a thing or two. A lot of guys have read it and felt the message, just not specific to women. I think a lot of young women have enjoyed it because I am a woman, and they sort of see a path forward for someone like them. But the core message is about doing better as an individual. I mean, that is my core message to people. I think hopefully the main takeaway is you can do better and be better and choose to settle for more. You don't have to sit around envying anyone. And the name of the book is based on a Dr. Phil saying, which is, the only difference between you and someone you envy is you settled for less. So I want people to feel empowered to change their lives, to recognize that no one's coming to save them, and they don't need anyone to save them. And so many people have come and said, well, what about your white privilege, or your privilege in growing up in a middle-class family and, you know, not having some obstacles that others have? And that may all be real. But my message is, I think that kind of thinking is self-defeating. And even though you may be a victim of circumstances, of others, of events in your life, I think it's very problematic to get in that victim mindset.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's much more powerful. I don't even like the word victim. I prefer the word target. But I think just believing that you can power your way out of it, believing that, and then doing the things you need to get the help you need to do it. But understanding that it's on you. It's on you, because I think at some level we do believe someone's coming to save us, and they're not.
One of the things you talk about in the book is work ethic, and it's what I tell my kids and every young person I run into. It's like, you know, why are you working 6 days a week? Because that's what this opportunity took.
Yep.
Like, you bring whatever you have to each moment that is called upon. So, and so if it had been called, oh, we only need you here for 4 hours a week, I would be sad.
Yeah.
But if I showed up for the other 55, it would be awkward.
Yeah, right.
Right? But your work ethic, that notion of just bringing everything you've got, really resonated with me in what you wrote too.
Well, I mean, I do think that one common strain you hear from successful people across the board is they're hard workers. I don't remember meeting somebody who had great success in their life who said, I half-assed it and got lucky. You know, they work and they work hard and they make sacrifices. And I truly believe, from experiences I had trying to get into law school, trying to get on the law review, trying to get on the moot court, trying to get to Jones Day with the law firm I ultimately settled at, trying to get into television, trying to get on, you know, all those things, that hard work can get you where you want to go. And this is one of the reasons why I want people to know that I was no great shakes. I was nothing extraordinary. I really wasn't. I had parents who loved me. That was a blessing and an advantage. But I was very unattractive as a child. I asked my mom, am I really smart? She was like, you're about average, which was true. It was true. I did fine in school, but nothing to write home about. The reason I got to the top of the legal industry and now this industry is because I worked my tail off.
Yep.
I worked for it, and everyone out there can do the same if they believe and then put their mind to it. You know, you have to make sacrifices, but it is achievable. Not being a news anchor necessarily. I'm just saying whatever's right.
Whatever it is, yes,
it's in your heart.
But it's often been said that the luckiest people in the world, amazingly, work really, really hard at being lucky. And that's so true. That, you know, people say, you're so lucky. But maybe, but chances are 9 out of 10 times those lucky people have worked really
well, what it brings you is a chance for your experience to meet chance, opportunity. I mean, if you keep working at something, it may feel like luck because you've done it for so long and so well and so much of it that it actually meets with the first opportunity that sparks your dream. So
to the governor's point, this woman who I know and love, she wrote the F Factor diet, which I love and I follow. F Factor, F is in fiber, also F exercise, which is a great chapter. But she's got a beautiful body, of course. And she says that people always look at her and say, you're so lucky.
Kills me.
And she says, to your point, it isn't luck. It's very hard work to look like she looks. And she makes sacrifices, ones that I choose not to make. Like, I
can only look amazing
with the chocolate after the dinner. You can't do it all the time.
You do a little running too, right?
There's only so much fiber I
You
can
don't
eat.
run?
I run after my kids. That's about it. I haven't exercised in years.
All right, we gotta run out of here. Whatever you're doing, it's working.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for being
Fun to have all.
We're going to roll, and we'll see you next week.